Today I'm talking muscle imbalances. Get a lot of questions on this one. And the first couple things to understand about muscle imbalances: one, they're inevitable, and two, they're not necessarily that bad because you're not built to be perfectly ambidextrous. Your nervous system, your physical body is not made to be perfectly balanced. Think of you have a side that's dominant that you would write with and stuff. So you're not supposed to be perfectly balanced in everything, perfectly even keel. And it's not necessarily bad because imbalances are only problematic when they get more extreme. They're not necessarily going to lead to catastrophic injury or hurt your performance. In fact, in some ways, you want to be imbalanced for some types of performance. Things where you're doing in one direction, like a golf swing, you want your body to develop in a little bit of an imbalanced way so you perform well in that one direction. Nevertheless, I know it can be frustrating when you say, oh, I've got this weak side, it's always the weak side, or my left bicep is smaller than my right bicep, what can I do about it? Well, the first thing to do is recognizing the imbalance is the first step, because most of us have tons of imbalances we're never even aware of. Okay, case in point, huge imbalances in my hips. For years, no clue whatsoever. And particularly when I would squat, my hips would sit just a hair to the side and I would rotate my body. Just the slightest little bit. Totally clueless. I would look at myself in the mirror, didn't even see it kind of thing. So once you're aware of that imbalance, the second thing is, why is that happening? And it's not always as simple as, well, that muscle is stronger. Because yes, it could be that muscle is stronger, but the one associated with it is actually weaker. Or it could be a tension activation thing. Like in my case, when I would shift to the side, that hip would be stronger, but that hamstring was actually weaker. And it could also be a technique thing. Like my right foot always had the tendency to kind of turn out just a few degrees more than the left one. So I'm squatting like this as opposed to that or like that. So being aware of these sorts of things, but again, it's kind of a grab bag to look on the internet and be like, why is one bicep bigger than the other? Because it could be any number of things, which is why I recommend take a video of yourself doing it and look for the smallest little details, like literally this and that could make all the difference in the world in your tricep development. That versus that. Be very, very technical, or have a coach or someone with that keen eye look and see what you're doing so they can really dial in where the differences are between your right and left side. And then once you know what those differences are, it's literally as simple as saying, try not to do that. Try not to move your hips to the side. Sit a little bit more into the right side was one of the things that I had to do. I also recommend using tools and techniques that highlight imbalances. Unilateral exercises particularly, things that use one leg or one arm at a time, like in progressive theory. Unstable tools also works well, like gymnastics rings and suspension devices, because that will highlight if you're doing dips on rings and you notice one arm kicks out more than the other. That shows you what's going on. When it comes to free weights, hand weights are preferable to things like barbells and weight machines because it will highlight differences back and forth, especially under fatigue. So pay attention to how your form is breaking down as you get more tired. And with practice, it literally comes down to, okay, I'm just getting better at not kicking my hips to the side as much anymore, and I'm not having my foot turn out as much anymore, and being aware of it, trying to work on it over time is enough to usually bring you into a little bit more balance and equilibrium. You don't necessarily always need a lot of corrective exercises and things to add on. It's more of just doing what you're already doing in a more balanced way. Hope that gave you some answers to your questions on muscle imbalances. Further questions and stuff down below in the comments. I always read the comments and stuff. More videos here. Thank you very much for watching. Be fit, live free.